Have you ever noticed how the places that once brought you peace can quietly turn into invisible backgrounds? What if the feeling of emptiness or irritation you carry right now is not because your life lacks beauty, but because your eyes have simply stopped seeing it? Most of your daily frustration is not caused by the things going wrong. It is caused by the fact that you have stopped being present for the things that are perfectly fine. If you have ever felt stuck, anxious, emotionally exhausted by small annoyances, or completely disconnected from your own life, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. Think about the rooms you walk through every day, the window you look out of when you wake up, the street you travel down. When you first arrived in these places, perhaps you noticed the light. Perhaps you felt a sense of gratitude, relief, or comfort. But time has a way of stealing our attention. The familiar becomes a blur. We stop looking, we stop feeling. We move through our own homes, our own lives, like ghosts haunting a routine. We are physically there, but mentally, we are miles away chasing the future or dragging the past. And when we are absent from our own lives, a strange thing happens. The space we empty out is quickly filled with irritation. Because we are not grounded, the smallest things easily knock us off balance. A misplaced key, a slow line, an unwashed cup left on a table. Suddenly, you feel a surge of frustration. But you are not really angry at the cup. You are experiencing the friction of a mind that is entirely disconnected from its environment. You have abandoned yourself in the rush of the ordinary. Buddhist wisdom teaches that much of our suffering comes from our inability to stay awake to the present moment. We treat the familiar as if it is permanent and dull, forgetting the truth of impermanence. The reality is, the light hitting your floor right now will never hit it in exactly the same way again. The moment you are in has never existed before. But when the mind goes to sleep, everything feels heavy, repetitive, and irritating. Imagine a beautiful painting hanging in a quiet hallway. The day you place it there, you stop and admire every brushstroke. A week later, you smile as you walk past it. A year later, you do not see it at all. It has simply become part of the wall. The painting has not lost its color. It has not lost its meaning. You have simply lost your sight. We do this with everything in modern life. We do this with our morning coffee. We do this with the people sitting across from us. We do this with the safety of our homes. We stop seeing the beauty of a familiar place because we see it every day. We trade the quiet miracle of the present for the loud anxiety of the next task. Ask yourself, what are you no longer seeing? What ordinary beauty surrounds you right now that your mind has labeled as routine? Is your mind bringing you peace, or is it feeding your exhaustion? Pause. Look around you right now. Let your eyes rest on one simple thing: a shadow on the wall, a plant, the texture of a desk. See it not as an object in your way, but as something existing quietly in your shared space. Returning to the present is the only way to stop the quiet leakage of your peace. But waking up to the familiar is only the first challenge. Because once you realize how easily you slip away, you must face what pulls you out. And this is where the next truth begins. The hidden traps we set for ourselves in the smallest, most ordinary moments of our day. 2. The trap of small frustrations. Here is a truth that is difficult to admit. Most of our daily suffering does not come from grand tragedies. It comes from how we handle the tiny, insignificant bumps on the road of life. Think of the unwashed dish left on the counter, the traffic light that turns red just as you approach, the slight change in tone from a coworker, or a sudden change of plans. In a split second, your chest tightens, your breathing becomes shallow, a wave of irritation washes over you, clouding your vision. You are no longer in the peaceful, familiar room you were standing in just moments ago. Your mind has instantly built a prison of annoyance, and you have locked yourself inside. We believe the external event is the source of our anger. We tell ourselves we have a right to be frustrated. But why does something so small feel so heavy? Because you are already carrying too much. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is the teaching of the second arrow. The first arrow is the event itself, the misplaced keys, the sudden rain, the slow line at the store. The first arrow is out of your control. It is sometimes painful or inconvenient, but it is always brief. The second arrow is your reaction. It is the story you tell yourself about the event. It is the anger, the blame, the spiral of negative thoughts that follows. The Buddhist view reminds us that the world fires the first arrow, but we shoot the second arrow into ourselves. We turn a fleeting moment of friction into an entire afternoon of suffering. Imagine carrying a glass of water filled to the very brim. You walk through a crowded room, trying perfectly to balance it, keeping your eyes locked on the edge of the glass. If someone lightly brushes against your shoulder, the water spills over your hands. In that moment, you might be angry at the person who bumped you. But the water spilled not just because of the bump, it spilled because the glass was already entirely full. There was no space. This is the exact reason we forget the beauty of our familiar spaces. We are walking through our homes, our relationships, and our routines with our minds filled to the absolute edge. We are carrying the invisible weight of work stress, the silent comparisons we make, the anxiety of an uncertain future, and the exhaustion of trying to keep everything together. So when a small, normal inconvenience occurs, we spill over. We shatter the quiet beauty of our own sanctuary. We abandon our peace in a moment of trivial stress, simply because we left no room for life to be imperfect. Think about your own life. When was the last time a minor annoyance ruined your morning? What were you really carrying in that moment? Were you truly angry at the situation, or were you just exhausted by the weight of everything else? What are you afraid will happen if you simply let the inconvenience exist without fighting it? Pause. Observe the thought without following it. The next time a small frustration arises, do not immediately react. Notice the heat rising in your chest. Notice the urge to complain. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You do not have to fight the water. You only have to make your glass larger. Because reacting to every little friction is a form of self-abandonment. You are giving your precious peace away to passing moments that do not deserve it. But why do we do this? Why do we push ourselves until there is no space left inside? And this is where the next truth begins. Because underneath our reactions is a habit we rarely notice until we are completely empty. 3. How we abandon ourselves in the rush. What if the harder you run toward the future, the more of yourself you leave behind? Here is the truth few people want to face. We are a society obsessed with the next moment, constantly sacrificing the only moment we actually possess. We live our days in a perpetual state of transit, always preparing, always getting ready for the next task. We wake up to rush to work. We rush through work to get home. We rush through our evening routines just so we can sleep and start over. And in this endless cycle of hurrying, we do not just lose our time, we lose our essence. We abandon our own presence. We treat the present moment not as a destination, but as a minor obstacle to push through. In doing so, we turn our own lives into a waiting room. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the future is an illusion. It is a projection of the mind, existing nowhere but in our own thoughts. Yet, we give almost all of our vital energy to it. We often think of non-attachment as letting go of the past, but it is equally about loosening our tight, anxious grip on the future. When we are always leaning forward, we are living in a quiet state of resistance to what is happening right now. We tell ourselves we will be peaceful as soon as the work is done, as soon as the weekend arrives. as soon as the problems are solved. But the problems are never entirely solved. Imagine a river flowing steadily toward the ocean. If a leaf falls onto the water, it simply rests on the surface. It moves exactly at the speed of the current. It does not pull backward, and it does not try to leap forward ahead of the water. But humans are like frantic swimmers in that same river. We are exhausted, paddling desperately, trying to force the water to move faster so we can reach a bend we cannot even see yet. In our struggle, we miss the light reflecting on the surface. We miss the cool stillness of the water. We are entirely consumed by the effort of arriving, completely forgetting that we are already here. We do this in modern life every single day. You sit at your desk, but your mind is already at the meeting tomorrow. You walk through the front door of your home, but your thoughts are tangled in a conversation that ended hours ago. You feel constantly behind in life because you have convinced yourself that peace is a reward you have to earn by finishing everything. But the list is never completely finished. The world will always ask more of you. Think about your own life. Where are you rushing to? What are you afraid will happen if you simply stop and stand still? Are you treating this ordinary, perfectly fine moment as a stepping stone to something better, or are you allowing yourself to actually live inside it? Pause. Bring your attention back to where you are physically sitting or standing. Feel the ground beneath you. Stop trying to force the door open. Let life meet you exactly where you are. Because peace is not a destination and you finally arrive at after you complete all your tasks. It is something you make space for right here, in the middle of the rush. But bringing yourself back from that anxious momentum requires a steady anchor. It requires a bridge between your racing mind and the quiet present. And this is where the next truth begins. The simplest, most profound tool you have possessed since the day you were born. 4. The power of one honest breath. There is a strange kind of freedom hidden in the tiny space between a trigger and your reaction. What if the most powerful thing you can do when the world pushes against you is to do absolutely nothing for just one single second? We live our lives on autopilot. When an unexpected email arrives, we instantly tense up. When someone criticizes us, we immediately defend ourselves. When we face a delay, we instinctively sigh in frustration. We are pulled by the strings of our external environment, reacting endlessly to everything around us. In these moments of immediate, thoughtless reaction, we completely abandon ourselves. We surrender our inner peace to the chaotic rhythm of the outside world. We forget who we are, where we are, and what truly matters. Buddhist wisdom teaches that true freedom is not the ability to control what happens to you, but the ability to control how you respond. Between the event and your reaction, there is a space. In that space lies your power. And the key to unlocking that space is the simplest, most vital act of human life: the breath. In Buddhist thought, the breath is not just air moving in and out of the lungs. It is the bridge between the mind and the body. It is the anchor that pulls a wandering, anxious mind back into the safety of the present moment. Imagine a boat moving through rough water. When the wind suddenly shifts and the waves begin to crash against the hull, a wise captain does not panic and try to fight the ocean. He knows he cannot command the sea. Instead, he drops a heavy iron anchor into the deep, still waters far below the surface. The storm still rages above, and the boat sways, but it holds its ground. It does not wash away. Your breath is that anchor. When the storms of modern life hit, when a family conflict arises, when the pressure to succeed feels entirely overwhelming, or when a small, frustrating inconvenience threatens to ruin your day, your mind will try to toss you into the rough water. The urge to snap, to complain, or to spiral into anxiety will be strong. Ask yourself, how many times have you spoken out of sudden frustration and deeply regretted it? How much of your daily emotional exhaustion comes from constantly fighting waves you cannot control? What would happen if, Just for one moment, you decided not to fight back. The practice is profound but simple. The next time you feel the heat of frustration rising, do not move, do not speak. Take one honest breath, a breath that acknowledges the friction without fighting it, a breath that reminds you that you are alive, right here, right now. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. Let the storm pass without becoming the storm. Stop. Breathe. Think about that. You are not powerless. You do not have to follow every anxious thought your mind produces. You do not have to let a minor annoyance steal the sanctuary of your mind. One honest breath gives you back to yourself. It breaks the heavy chain of automatic suffering. But breathing is only the tool that clears the window. Once the dust settles and your mind is quiet again, something beautiful happens. You open your eyes, and the world looks different. And this is where the next truth begins. Because when you stop fighting the present moment, you can finally awaken to the quiet miracles you have been overlooking all along. What if the peace you are endlessly searching for is already sitting quietly in the very room you are trying to escape? Sometimes life does not need to change for you to feel alive again. Your eyes just need to adjust. Here is a truth we often forget. We are conditioned to believe that joy, relief, and peace only exist in the new. We believe that to feel alive, we must travel to a distant city, drastically change our circumstances, or acquire something we do not currently have. We look at our daily lives, the walls of our home, the route we drive, the faces of the people we see every single day, and we feel a heavy sense of dullness. We think the world around us has lost its color. But the world has not faded. Your attention has simply gone to sleep. Buddhism reminds us of a beautiful concept often called the beginner's mind. It is the practice of looking at the world as if you are seeing it for the very first time. The reason we feel numb to our familiar places is that we stop experiencing them directly. Instead, we experience our memory of them. We place invisible labels on our environment. We see the usual morning, the boring commute, the same old room. In doing so, we blind ourselves to the profound, living reality of the present moment. Imagine a single candle burning in a quiet room. If you light that same candle every night, after a week, you will stop noticing the flame. You will only use it for the light it provides, so you can see the rest of the room. You will walk past it without a second thought. But if you stop, if you really look, the flame is constantly dancing. It is flickering, changing colors, shifting with the invisible currents of air in the room. It is never the same shape twice. It is a living, breathing fire, completely unique in this exact second. We miss the flame because we are too used to the light. Think of your modern life. The warm cup of tea you drink every morning before rushing to work. The sound of the rain against your window while you scroll through social media. The quiet, steady presence of a loved one sitting across from you. We look past them. We treat them as guaranteed fixtures in our lives, forgetting the fragile, temporary nature of their existence. We forget how lucky we are to simply have a safe, quiet place to sit. We abandon the miracle of the ordinary because our minds are addicted to the loud, the fast, and the new. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly tasted your food without distracting yourself with a screen? When did you last look at the sky above your street, not to check the weather, but simply to witness its vastness? What quiet beauty is waiting patiently for you to notice it again? Pause. Look around the room you are in right now. Pretend you have just arrived here from another world. Notice the way the shadows fall on the floor. Notice the silence. Strip away the heavy labels of routine. Let the space simply exist without needing it to entertain you. You do not need to change your entire life to find peace. You only need to wake up to the life you are already living. Because peace is not found by constantly changing your view. It is found by changing the way you look. But seeing the beauty of the present is only half the journey. Staying grounded, when life inevitably brings friction, is the true test of your peace. And this is where the next truth begins. Because remaining present means you must also learn how to observe the uncomfortable emotions that arise without letting them drag you away. 6. Detaching from the reaction. What if the emotions that overwhelm you are not actually you, but simply visitors passing through the house of your mind? Here is the truth few people want to face. We do not just experience our feelings, we become them. When friction occurs, when a plan falls apart, when someone speaks to you sharply, or when you feel completely ignored, a sudden wave of negative emotion rises. But notice what happens next. You do not say, "I am feeling anger." You say, "I am angry." You do not say, "I am experiencing anxiety." You say, "I am anxious." In that tiny shift of language lies a massive emotional trap. You fuse your entire identity with a temporary state. You abandon the quiet, grounded self that was noticing the beauty of the room just moments ago, and you allow the sudden irritation to consume your entire being. In Buddhist thought, one of the most profound practices is learning to observe the mind without becoming entangled in it. Buddhism reminds us that thoughts and emotions are impermanent. They are not absolute truths, and they are certainly not who you are. Suffering happens when we either try to fiercely push the negative feelings away, or when we violently grasp onto them and let them steer our actions. The practice of non-attachment does not mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting your feelings dictate your reality. You learn the gentle art of stepping back. Imagine the vast, open sky above you. Throughout the day, the sky experiences everything. Sometimes it is filled with soft white clouds. Sometimes heavy, dark storm clouds roll in, bringing thunder and violent rain. But the sky itself never panics. It never tries to push the storm away, and it never tries to hold on to the sunlight. It simply makes space. The storm rages, the rain falls, and eventually the wind carries it all away. The sky remains untouched. It was always there, perfect and unbroken behind the weather. You are the sky. Your emotions are the weather. Think about your modern life. You open an email that feels deeply unfair, or you see a post on social media that triggers a heavy wave of comparison and self-doubt. The storm clouds instantly roll in. Your chest tightens. You want to react immediately. You want to send a harsh reply, or you want to mentally tear yourself down. In that moment, you are standing in the rain, fully believing that the storm is all there is. You forget that the feeling is just passing through. Ask yourself, how many times have you let a temporary feeling dictate a permanent action? When the irritation of a familiar routine or a small frustration arises, are you holding space for it, or are you letting it become your entire world? What would happen if you simply watched the feeling arrive without offering it a chair to sit in? Pause. Next time the frustration hits, visualize the sky. Breathe. Say to yourself silently, "A feeling of anger is passing through me." Do not judge it. Do not fight it. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. Because true peace is not the absence of storms. It is the deep, unshakable knowing that the storm cannot break you. But stepping back from the emotion does more than just prevent a reaction. It allows you to safely rebuild the boundary around your inner sanctuary. And this is where the next truth begins. Because once you separate yourself from the passing weather, you must learn how to live comfortably inside your own space again. 7. Reclaiming your inner space. What if the reason you feel so emotionally exhausted is not because you are doing too much, but because you have left the door to your mind entirely unguarded? Here is the truth few people want to face. We often wonder why our familiar spaces, our homes, our quiet evenings, our long-term relationships feel so heavy and drained of their initial beauty? It is because we do not enter them alone. We bring the entire world with us. We carry the sharp frustrations of the workday straight through the front door. We bring the loud, chaotic noise of the internet into our beds. We allow the harsh words of a stranger or the unreasonable demands of a passing situation to sit with us in our most private moments. Your physical body is resting in a safe place, but your mental space is severely overcrowded. You feel suffocated, not by your actual life, but by everything you have allowed to intrude upon it. Buddhist wisdom teaches the vital importance of guarding the doors of the mind. In ancient texts, the mind is often compared to a sacred sanctuary. But a sanctuary is only peaceful if you are deeply intentional about what is allowed inside. Mindfulness is not just about watching your thoughts. It is the quiet, gentle gatekeeper of your peace. It is the deep realization that you do not have to invite every passing worry, every external demand, and every minor frustration in to stay. You have the ultimate authority to say no. Imagine a quiet, beautifully decorated room in the center of a busy, loud city. It is your personal refuge. Now imagine that you leave the front door wide open, allowing anyone walking by to step inside, track mud across the floor, and drop their heavy, unwanted bags in the corner. Soon, the room is no longer beautiful. It is chaotic, dirty, and stressful. You would never allow this to happen to your physical home. Yet, we do this to our minds every single day. We let the world walk in and drop its chaos onto our peace. Think of your modern life. You are sitting in your living room, a place that should bring you deep comfort. But instead of noticing the quiet beauty of the moment, your mind is replaying a tense conversation or agonizing over a small, frustrating delay that happened hours ago. The world has walked in with muddy shoes. You have abandoned the safety of your familiar space to entertain ghosts that do not even exist in the present moment. Ask yourself, who or what is currently occupying your inner space? Have you given them permission to be there? Are you letting the loud demands of the outside world drown out the quiet beauty of your own life? Is holding on to this frustration actually serving you, or is it just making your sanctuary feel incredibly small? Pause. Take a deep, slow breath. Visualize the beautiful, quiet room of your mind. Now, gently close the door. Stop trying to solve the outside world from the inside of your sanctuary. Do your part in the world, then mentally sweep the floor. Release the heavy bags that do not belong to you. Let the outside world remain outside. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to be entirely unavailable to the things that drain you. But guarding your space is only the preparation. Because once the room is finally quiet and the door is gently closed, you must learn how to live inside it again. And this is where the final truth begins. The quiet, profound return to the life you have been living all along. 8. The return to peace. Think back to the beginning of our journey, the rooms you walk through every day, the window you look out of when you wake up, the heavy feeling that your daily life had quietly turned into a blur of invisible backgrounds and sudden, exhausting frustrations. What if you now realize that the beauty of your life never actually left you? You simply left it. We spend so much of our brief lives desperately searching for peace in the next moment, the next achievement, or the next distant destination. We pack our minds so entirely full of worries, past regrets, and future expectations that the smallest friction, a misplaced item, a delayed response, an unwashed cup, causes us to spill completely over. We shoot the second arrow into ourselves. We abandon our own presence to fiercely fight storms we cannot possibly control. But you do not have to live in the storm anymore. Buddhism reminds us that true peace is not the absence of trouble. It is the deep, quiet presence that remains when you stop violently fighting reality. It is the profound realization that you are the vast, open sky, and all the frustrations of the world are just passing weather. Imagine a deep lake in the middle of a silent forest at night. If the wind is howling and the water is violently churning, the surface is completely chaotic. It cannot reflect anything. But when the wind finally dies down and the water is allowed to become perfectly still, something beautiful happens. The dark surface of the lake turns into a flawless mirror, and the bright silver moon reflects clearly upon it. The moon was always there, shining quietly above. The lake simply needed to stop moving to see it. Your mind is that lake. The beauty of your familiar life, the quiet safety of your home, the simple miracle of your own breath, these are the moon. They have never stopped shining. They have been waiting patiently for you to stop fighting the water. Think about your own life as you move forward. Tomorrow morning, you will wake up in that same familiar room. The routine will begin again. The world will inevitably bring its small frictions. A cup might spill, a line might be slow. The familiar urge to rush, to tense up, to abandon yourself in a wave of annoyance will try to rise. But this time, you have a choice. Pause, breathe, take one honest breath before you react. Notice the heat of the emotion and let it pass quietly through the open sky of your mind. Do not shoot the second arrow. Gently close the heavy door of your inner sanctuary to the chaotic noise of the outside world. Look around you with the clear eyes of a beginner. See the light resting on the floor. Feel the warmth of the cup in your hands. Because life is not a waiting room. It is not something that happens to you while you are rushing toward the finish line. Life is exactly what is happening right now, in this very room, in this very second. You do not need a completely new life to feel alive again. You only need to be awake for the one you already have. Let go of the heavy bags you have been carrying for so long. Trust the quiet stillness inside you. Honor your own sacred space and refuse to abandon your peace to passing frustrations. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. The beauty never left. You simply had to return.